Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Live Second Sunday. I will be your host for this energetic report. Jessica Alstrom here, the creator of Quantum Method and Quantum Fitness Global. And I am here to bring you the 411 on all things energetic, frequency, vibration, and how you fit into all of that. Well, we made it to the end of the year, barely, right? And it's been intense, not just for myself, but pretty much every single person that I have talked to. And that goes for all over this big planet. What I have seen for the past 12 years coaching professionally is that it doesn't matter what time zone, what country, it all comes down to we are all dealing with the same issues in different storylines. And you're probably dealing with some of the darkest parts of you right now. And you're probably wondering how you got here, especially after all the work that you have done. And I have basically been saying for a year, this is the catch 22. This is the year 22 where we actually are sitting in the room with the best parts of ourselves and the worst parts of ourselves. We are sitting in a room with our biggest potentials and our biggest limits. We have fought this year. We have stood up for ourselves this year. We have reclaimed our self-care this year. We have created some boundaries. And for years, the spirit world has been saying self-love, self-love, self-love. But a lot of us, our definition of love has been so twisted and it has been so misunderstood and misguided that our definition of love sometimes puts us in a situation where we lose ourselves for love. And then the idea of self-love means that we've got to do something. We've got to create something. We've got to be successful. We've got to look a certain way in order to love ourselves. Because it's easy to love other people unconditionally. But when it comes to us, we want to produce something. We want to create something. We want to have something. We want to be something. We want to look like something in order for that love to truly, my battery, let me check it. Oh, there we go. Just needed to plug it in. To really amount to anything so that we could get our own love. Yet our friends, our families, our kids, right, our parents, although they may drive you absolutely batshit crazy, you love them. And you love them with the darkest parts of them, and you love them with the brightest parts of them. And this year has definitely been the walk through the shadow of death, right? We're finishing up the fourth dimensional walk. And we are entering this platform of this concept of 5D. And I know you're hearing it everywhere. And some of you, in some areas of your life, are fully living that. And to me, the true definition of 5D is choice. And not just choice from your limits, not just choice from what you settled for, not just choice for what you were born into or the money in your bank account or the way your body looks right now, but choice in the infinite possibilities of all aspects of you. So I am wrapping up right now a year-long class that was called Alchemy Masterclass. And the context of this class was alchemy means all of me. And I know this year you have gotten to meet parts of yourself that you thought you had integrated, that you thought that you have healed, that you thought didn't exist anymore because, you've been on this spiritual journey and it's not really been present when you're studying, when you're listening to a channel, when you're channeling. You don't feel those aspects of yourself because that vibration that you're in when you're studying spiritual content or teaching a class or being a practitioner or laying on the table yourself, you're not in that universe. You are in the higher selves universe. You are not in the lower self universe. And then you get out of that session, and I know because I've been here a million times, you get out of that channeled situation, you get off that table, that client leaves your office, right? You put your class work away and you walk out into your life and it doesn't feel the same. It doesn't feel exciting. It feels like a burden. And your life isn't producing the results that you believe that it should be at this time. Now, I will say that we're doing really well with the circumstances that are presented with ourselves. We all can feel that. We're surviving, we're here. But this is not about survival. This is about how do we get from survival to thrival? Because it's a completely different holographic space, right? 3D is the game of survival. If you can survive 3D without doing yourself in, without attracting some sort of end, right? Or without feeling like you want to end, or, feeling like it's not worth it, and you can begin your 4D walk, and you can walk through the shadow of all of your own karma, dharma, right? Cause and effect, picking up pieces of you that are half dead and ignored and rejected and abandoned, and parts of you that you've disassociated with since the womb, and parts of you that are not pretty, parts of you that are not abundant, parts of you that are not free. And you can collect those pieces of yourself and love them anyways, and not necessarily need them to change, but find a way to not only see them and hear them and create a safe space for them, but to somehow work with them to continue the walk. Because as you start walking on this 4D path, you're collecting pieces of yourself, right? You're a big shredded glass, a vase, that there's big parts of you and there's little shreds. And when you step on them, it hurts because it cuts you. Your heart has been broken this lifetime. It has been shattered in a million pieces. And because it's a boring game, because there's more light on the planet, it's not ending as fast. It's like we're not just being beheaded or being burned on the stake this time. No, we're being burned on the stake in our own families. We're being humiliated with our people. We're being rejected by people that say they love us. We're going through all of those resurrection phases in this lifetime. And probably by now you are feeling like you have lived at least 8 to 12 lifetimes. Well, there's at least 12 versions of you that need to be fully integrated before you can live, walk, create, build, and call 5D your home. Because the parts of you that are still vibrating lower, the alchemies, the aspects of you that are not necessarily favorable, right? The dark parts of you, the monster inside of you, the hungry, starving addict, the child that wants their mom and dad, the lost, um, the lost soul, right? The one that feels half dead, the one that doesn't have the motivation anymore to work hard for success, the part of you that can't show up in social situations and fake it anymore, the part of you that wants more simple, basic connections, the part of you that you have to take out in nature to calm down, the part of you that needs an animal to feel safe, the part of you that clings on to your hope. Because this year you are meeting both your hope and your hopelessness. You are meeting both your fear and your fearlessness. You are meeting yourself in the mirror, right? And I always try to bring humor into my classroom because this is really heavy stuff. And we have had to become our own mother and our own father. We have had to reparent the inner child. We have had to get to know our demons and figure out how to work and create a suicide squad of superhero esque type of relationship with these darker parts of us. Because honestly, all parts of you are going to be needed to move into this next holographic space. Because as you can see around you, when you are turned on to what is happening collectively, you can see that it's going nowhere fast. You can see that it's getting worse. You can see that there is more light and truth on the planet, and all that's really doing is pointing out and showing what was always and has been dark. Now, darkness is not evil. Darkness is pain. Darkness is the absence of love. Darkness is the absence of connection. Darkness doesn't know your higher self. And there is a part of you that's never been in that classroom you've taken. There's a part of you that's never laid hands on a client on your table. There is a part of you that feels absolutely worthless to charge money for your own spiritual gifts. There is a part of you that feels like a fraud. There is a part of you that feels numb, disconnected, doesn't want to be here. And then there is a part of you that loves the simple things, that loves people, although people are not very lovable. There is a part of you that has faith in the dark. And your only job here to move into this next chapter or next series or next holographic space or your next level of your virtual reality video game, whatever you want to call it, is to collect all of the pieces of you. So the game of 3D while you are in hell is to use hell itself as the fertilizer to not only find yourself, collect yourself, work with yourself, team up with yourself. And it isn't about the love that we were taught to be selfless, to do for others. It wasn't really about that. It was about utilizing people, places, and things around you as a mirror to reconnect with yourself. And as you love others, then you know thyself. And as you hate others, you know thyself. And when you are afraid, you know thyself. And when you are brave, you know thyself. And you're going to keep going through this until you realize that 5D is the beginning of non-duality. And so you are in the beginning, and some of you are in the middle of, and some of you may be at the end of what I like to call the higher self boot camp. A lot of you by now understand that term, whether you think it's, your spirit, your soul, your higher presence, whatever you want to consider it. It is the part of you that remains on the other side of the veil, beckoning you to the isness of completion. The part of you that is 100% satisfied. The part of you that doesn't have a need, a want, it just is. The part of you that's already finished the game and is showing you the cheat codes through circumstances, events, synchronicities, music, love, connections, other people, right? Manifesting small little nuggets and crumbs so that you may find yourself moving from the lower realms up until the higher realms. And this part of you that has been beckoning you since the day you were born is trying to show us how to get finished with this bridge and move into this place of choice. And the place of choice is not, it's 10 steps forward, 10 steps back. It's win-win. It is I succeed and you succeed. It isn't I have to choose me, so I have to abandon you. I have to give away my time for money. I have to shut my mouth so I can create peace. I have to be a good girl so that I don't get arrested here, even though there's an outlaw inside of me that doesn't agree with any of it. And that the opportunity to become more sovereign is about self-love, self-awareness, self-acceptance, right? Self-choice, self-advice, self-coaching, self-talks, self-hypnosis, self-affirmations, self-understanding. This is how you get the game completed. It's never been about achieving something outside of you, and that gets you to the end of the game. Because the 5D game is not based on the material world at all. It's based on the collaboration of the me, myself, and I, or there's probably 12 of you that make up the me, myself, and I, because ego has fractaled, your inner child has trauma, and your higher self is basically shape-shifting itself to meet all those different versions of you in some way, even if it's in the shape of an accident, a tragedy, a rerouting, a detour, the word no. Because sometimes we believe that the way we're walking is the way home. But the way we're walking is because we're hungry, we're starving, we need love, we need attention, we need help. And that's not where higher self is vibrating. Higher self is not vibrating where you need help, because 5D and higher self is the vibration of a sovereign being. And the sovereign being doesn't need help. The sovereign being is self-governed, self-aware, self-choice, self-independent. It gets its limitless from its own truth. It gets its knowledge from its own gut. It gets its love from its own heart. It gets its thoughts from that system itself, instead of pulling from the sheeple collective and getting lost in translation about what is right and what is wrong. Because in the idea of non-duality, everything that is wrong is used to go right. Everything that is dark is used to create light. Everything that is hate is love in disguise. Everything that you believe is tragedy is fertilizer. It's growing you. It's showing you. It's leading you. And your higher self is thug. I'm going to be honest, because your higher self will use any situation to hustle you home at any cost, because it realizes that your bodies are resilient. It realizes that it doesn't matter how long it takes, because time doesn't truly exist. Your higher self doesn't care what it takes for you to grow into all of you, because that is the journey. The journey isn't a destination. The journey is the walk home. It is the collection of yourself. It is walking through the graveyard of your own lives, past, present, and future, and connecting with those parts of yourself that feel unlovable, feel helpless, feel homeless, feel like an orphan, feel lack and poverty and sickness. Those are the parts of you that the other parts of you are here to connect with. And that is alchemy. One who changes lead or death into gold or life. And that's not going to get easier until we accept it. It's not going to get better until we realize what this journey is actually about. It isn't about spiritual enlightenment. And I think higher self is very clever, because when we wake up and we begin to know things that other people don't know, there is this sense of understanding. There is this sense of acceptance. There's this sense of excitement that brews down into our being about what we are capable of. There is hope that we can change the imperfections and limits within ourselves into more spiritual capabilities and superhuman abilities. And we follow this carrot. This is what gets us on the bridge. Because if you're like me and you guys are channeling, or you're a practitioner, or you understand that, just like a parent, I am going to lead my children through the path of least resistance. I'm going to reward them. I'm going to lure them because I know what's best for them on the other side. I am going to let them know it's going to be okay, even if the journey is going to be hard, because I know if I told them all of those things that they were going to have to walk through, they might not have decided to awaken here. Because you had to wake up to meet the best parts of yourself. You had to wake up to meet the limitless, brave soul inside that heart. You had to spend years getting to know her and him. And then all of a sudden, when you felt like it was about to be over, then that light took you in to the darkest parts of yourself. Because as you lighten up, right, and you begin to lift yourself into a higher vibration and a higher space simultaneously, because this is yin and yang, dark and light, and what goes up, right, must come down, that you, while you've been studying your curriculum and studying your master classes and taking your certifications, every time you log in and tap in and turn on, you are also simultaneously unlocking the gates of your own hell. Because spirit and the versions of you that are literally haunting you and possessing you are all one. And when you go up, you unroot. You bring the dead up through you into life. You rip apart your own graveyard and see all of your aspects of yourself that didn't make it to where you are, that don't know who you are. Your conscious awareness is 5% of your mental focus. And we believe it's all of our focus. Your conscious awareness is your desired future version of yourself. That's why when shit hits the fan, you feel so blindsided, because your conscious self is the carrot. It is the keep moving forward, hope, use whatever is in front of you, your twin flame, that job that you got promised, that partnership that is in the wings, that money that's supposed to come. You keep moving forward. But 95% of you is the holographic space of all of your karma and all of your dharma. So as you begin to follow the carrot, follow the white rabbit, right? You start to go into the place where we are all mad here. And when you realize that we are all mad here, your job is to get to know the mad, insane, delusional, disassociated monsters inside of yourself. But you have a flashlight. As you are pulling up all of this death within you, you have this light. You have this connection. You can meditate. You can step out as an observer and see yourself from the mountaintop. You can scrape the money together to get yourself a broker to do that. You can hire a mentor. You can take a practitionership to learn how to deal with your own addictive being. You have the choice because you are in the age of information. There is enough photonic energy on this planet right now to fully ascend you all the way into the 12th dimension. You don't want to go that fast. Trust me. You want to milk this. You want to enjoy it. You want to understand it. You want to get to know yourself. You've studied your partners, your kids, your parents, other people, your students, your clients, so much more than you've studied yourself. Because the parts of you that are the most rejected are the most foreign to you. The parts of others that disgust and repel you have the personality of who you are hiding from yourself. No one likes to hear this. But we have hit this December threshold. We just had our last full moon in Gemini, which is the definition of duality. And in that full moon, you are coming to terms with what you have in your toolbox and what you're using. So the way out is the way through. We wouldn't have done this journey if we really knew what this last few years were going to be like. We would have been like, no, ignorance is bliss. Let me just stay in the matrix and hide. But you're not that person, and that will never be who you are, because inside of you is a special satellite, is a special version of a soul that was here to create a matrix inside of your own body. And this matrix that was designed inside of you, you were born feeling and thinking with your heart. You weren't born thinking with this. You've always been different. You are the one who is here that in your own hell, you create heaven. In your own pain, you create love. In your own sorrow, you create music. You are the artist that is here to transcend the darkness into the light. The child is the only version of you in the me, myself, and I, which is the body that can go into the darkest places with you, and it can go into the lightest parts of heaven simultaneously at the same time. Because the dark parts of you don't believe in heaven and actually have beef with God. And the part of you that has returned to God and collaborated and working one-on-one with Jesus or an angel or whatever, that part of you is terrified of the part of you that wants to kill it. And the part of you that's dark is angry at the light, and the light is scared of the dark. And the child within you, depending on who is roaring and who is being fed, if the ego is being fed by being around low vibrational people, places, and things, if you are in an environment that feels toxic to you, if you have people, places, and things that make you feel small around you, if you are poisoning your body, if you are adapting instead of creating, if your entire routine is about comfort instead of growth, then your dark side is the parent who has custody. And if you are challenging yourself and investing in yourself, and you are crying yourself to sleep sometimes, and you are holding on to a thread of all of this working out somehow, and you are showing up and you are sacrificing your ego at times to choose grace for yourself, then your higher self is in the driver's seat. And although ego might be the back criticizing your driving, you're noticing that you are moving forward, even if it doesn't feel good. So this year coming up in 2023 is going to be the remaining platform of your higher self boot camp. Now think about a boot camp. If you've ever taken a fitness boot camp, or some of you have been in the military, or you've watched some boot camps, it's about conditioning. It's about breaking you down and building you up. But the Galactic Federation is not as militant as I would say is the human ego. It's not about humiliating you into alignment. It's not about, breaking your spirit like some stallion. It's about remembering who you are and integrating and loving the ugliest parts of yourself by attracting the accidents, by attracting the money issues, by attracting the pain in your body, by attracting the heartbreak outside of you. Because the biggest heartbreaks outside of you have been the ones who have brought you back to yourself. The losses outside of you are the ones that brought you back to yourself. The car accidents smacked your ass awake, and you probably manifested a better car. Okay? So you have to look at every negative as a shortcut here. And if you are in alignment, then higher self will use alignment. And if you are out of alignment, higher self will use your out of alignment. So everyone's journey is going to be in direct proportion to who's driving. You've heard that Cherokee proverb, right? There's a tale of two wolves within us, right? One evil, one good. And the little boy says, "Grandfather, which one wins?" The one you feed. And I know personally, when I get low, I get low. I want to disappear. I want to not be here. But then I remember, right, that sometimes rock bottom is the only way my stubborn ass is going to surrender. And sometimes higher self's boot camp is rock bottom over and over and over again. Sometimes higher self's boot camp is you being so pressurized at work that you realize that you're selling your soul for pennies and you're not living your dreams. You see that clock moving so fast and you see, I'm running out of time. Higher self will use that clock to get your ass awake. Higher self will use anything and everything to return you to the scenes of the trauma where you have abandoned yourself. You're probably noticing this year that you have returned to certain traumas that you thought were completely integrated, that you've probably paid big bucks to process. Yet here they are again. And higher self says, the only thing that matters is your state of being. Not what you want, not what you desire, but who are you? Who are you in this moment? So I want to ask you a question, and I took my alchemy class through this a couple of sessions ago. And I said, if your life was a movie, okay, and you were the star of this movie, would you watch your own movie? Would it hold your attention? Would it be so cringy that you had to turn it off? Would it be so sad you just cried? Would it make you angry? What would you think about the character that you've been playing? Let's say the last 4 years. Okay, let's say the last 4 years, let's throw it into a 2-hour movie. Could you sit through it? Your own movie. Could you sit through it? Because most movies start off good, right? Oh, here's this happy story. And then there's a demise. And then the end of the movie is the come up story, right? So where are you in your 3-part me, myself, and I series? Okay? Because yes, your ego was created to survive here. Your ego is your defender and your protector. It is your focuser. It is your problem solver, but it doesn't understand the part of you that is enlightened. It doesn't understand the part of you that is manifesting out of that pain and also manifesting out of light. And that's why you're getting a dualistic reality. You're getting things you love and things you hate because both your ego and your higher self are manifesting, and you're going to get the algorithm or the average of that. So let's take a look at your movie. Do you enjoy looking at your own face? Can you look at pictures of yourself? Are you playful? Are you light? Are you fun? Think about yourself in this movie right now. And if this is a holographic space and the universe is saying, show me your state of being and I will show you your vibration, show me who you really are, not through what you want or need, but what you do, and I will match that frequency. What is the universe matching every day? Because it's always been 50-50 here. We are in a co-creation with our universe, which is our other part of ourselves. Okay? Inner child is your mediator. The desire within you, and the true definition of desire is really about becoming and demonstrating what I am. Desire isn't give me this. It's I want to be who I am inside. That's why you want the car. That's why you want the house, because that resembles your higher self, right? The dream job, the purpose, not because you want to get to that job or that house or that money. It's because your higher self is that vibration. And so when you manifest the house, the car, the money, it's an equal alignment. And when you can't manifest the money and you can't manifest the opportunities, it is because your desiring is being filtered through lack, judgment, rules, and a lack of self-sovereignhood. And you're believing that someone outside of us, things outside of us, are in control of what we are allowed to do, have, and be. So we have to return to the child and say, how the hell do we make it here? Because higher self saying it's already done waiting. It's done. Lower self saying it doesn't exist. The inner child is saying, well, we knew how to do a couple of things when we came in here. We knew how to dance before we could walk, right? We knew how to share our emotions, happy, laughing, joy, sad. We can use those. And we knew how to pretend, act as if. We had hours of joy in theta, turning pillows into a castle. Because in theta, where my brain waves are between sleep and awake, I can believe that I am in a castle under pillows. Can you? Can you believe that you are already complete and you are being beckoned through the path of least resistance? And if your vibration is low, you will be pulled through accidents, pulled through money issues, pulled through health. You're still going to make it, but you're going to be pulled through what you have created to basically strengthen the unity of self into the point where you need nothing outside of you. I spent the last 2 years creating quantum fitness for this exact journey, to integrate the darkest parts of ourselves so we don't have to keep manifesting it out on the road, right? To get to know the dark points, because 50% of your intuition is in the dark. Using your manipulator and turning them into a mentor, right? Using your victim and turning it into a victor, right? Using your hustle, streetwise, criminal mindset into solutions and genius ideas of creation. Using the lazy part of you to not keep doing things you want to do. There is a way that higher self will show you how to use every single thing you have in your life right now as your quantum leap. Every aspect, every dark corner, every bullied part of you, every bully inside of you, every heartbreak, every time you've been on the cross in your own family, Every time you've been burned at the stake, higher self says, I want you for the army of light that is within you. And as you say, I choose me, I don't choose this bullshit anymore because this is distracting me. And when I'm around that, I believe it's your fault instead of me manifesting that. When I spend too much time in your reality, trying to bend myself to fit and be comfortable for what you want me to be, I lose myself. And then I create something that feels like yucky, get on the floor and give me 20 in the boot camp. Right now, you're going to notice that every time you do not choose yourself or your highest good for yourself, if you choose peace outside of you, you're creating a war inside. If you create a way to get the money in a this way over here and sacrifice your dreams, your rest, your play, then you'll have to get on the floor, give me 20. Because higher self knows how strong you are. We have to resurrect the parts of us that are dead through art, play, okay, and music, and poetry, and love, and the parts of us that are alive and tired, right? We need the darker parts to carry us the rest of the way. Because the darker parts of you guys have been on this planet probably for thousands of years. They know how it works here. They know how to survive. They understand the ins and outs. You can call it street smarts, all right? You're going to need them because the road to the higher self is paved in pain until it becomes ammunition, until it becomes fuel, until it becomes love. When you start using the darker parts of yourself, right, for their highest good. It's really like that movie Suicide Squad, okay? Because they're all criminals and we're desperate. Help us, right? All of the superheroes are trapped or whatever, the good ones. We have to pull the bad ones out of jail and save the world. That is the part of the ascension that we're in. Your darkest parts are going to be walking you the rest of the way home. And if you don't know who they are, well, look around and see what triggers you. See what injustice you have, your trust issues. Okay? See what makes your blood boil. See what you want to hide and avoid. See what you're terrified of. See what you're lacking in. See what you're afraid of the dark of. See where you feel alone, homeless. Where do you feel like an orphan? These are your dark parts. And inside of them is the rest of your walk. You have made it as far as you can with love and light. And now it's time for you to get to know the shadows. So my kids are all watching this TV show called What We Do in the Shadows. And if you've ever watched a TV show called The Office, it is very cringy TV show about a 3D dysfunctional, ego-driven office space. It's hilarious because, I mean, it's just like the jester in you makes fun of life. Well, this one, and I don't know if it's 3 or 4, I think it's 4 or 5 vampires. And it is their documentary about what they do in the shadows. And it is cringy. It is ridiculous. It is dark and funny, but you can see it's a documentary about what we do in the shadows. And I thought that that was a perfect reference for my second Sunday this month, because what you do in the shadows is funny. It's silly. It's ridiculous. The secret addictions that we have and the things that we do when we're alone, they made a TV show about it. And my daughter says, Mom, I don't know if you're going to like it. You know, it's got orgies and this and that. And she's like, I don't know. And this is my 16-year-old daughter, right? And I'm like, I think I can handle it. And so I start watching it, and I'm just laughing because it is funny. The parody and the comedy that is hidden in this journey is the exact reason why men stay in the military. When I work with veterans that have PTSD once they come home, the PTSD does not activate on duty. The PTSD activates when they come home to a loving home, when they come home to a job that's quiet, to life outside of the military. That is when you get triggered and they don't know what to do in a safe space. They don't know what to do without their camaraderie and their laughter about silliness. They feel isolated and alone. They feel trapped, stuck. But out there in a foreign country, down on the ground, protecting, protecting us, they don't feel scared because they have each other. Their shadow world is what they know, and the adrenaline is what keeps them moving forward. I always say that I've created this life for myself where I'm like an abused dog who finally is in a safe home. And I don't know actually what's worse. Because when you are an abused dog in a bad place, you are in such a high level of survival that you really don't feel that uncomfortable, because when you are adapting to survival, you're just surviving. But what happens when all of that pain inside of you creates a bigger life for you? So what I've done is the bigger part of me has created this beautiful life. And the lower part of me now is moving in, and it doesn't fit. It's like, what is this? It's like the safety and the comfort and the love and the connection feels so foreign to parts of me that I literally feel like the other shoe is going to drop. Like the rug is going to be ripped out from underneath me. I don't know how to show up in safe social situations because I'm used to things going wrong, or at least a part of me. Because I've been spending basically the last 12 years building this really amazing life for myself. And now, as I'm getting to the end of this walk, I have uncovered, unanchored, unburied the darkest parts of me and saying, hey, I just adopted you. Come in. Look at our beautiful home. Look at our business we've created. And it could not be more difficult for these parts of me because they don't believe that it's safe. If you've ever rescued a dog that has been, or an animal that has been abused, their level of adaptability takes years. Now, what shortens the time for that, if you can relate to this, is consistency, which means showing up when they bite you, showing up when they won't eat, showing up when they run away, showing up for them when they try to sabotage you, showing up for you when they hurt your other pet, instead of adopting a broken animal and then punishing it for showing up exactly how it knows to stay safe. And this is us. So we're going to keep doing this over and over again until we are consistent, until we are routine, until we are aware, until we are working actively with the darkest parts of ourselves. And our ego needs a new job. Ego needs a promotion, not a demotion. Ego needs to change from saboteur and defender and protector to organizer, focuser, and creative, right? Opportunities instead of survival. But it cannot do that if you aren't consistent, because the inner child frequencies are: I keep my word to myself, I am consistent, I am in a contribution to my own goodness, and I am communicating to myself. So if you are not communicating to yourself, if you are punishing yourself, if you are abusing yourself, if you are denying and rejecting and disassociating from, if you adopted this beautiful little puppy that you knew was traumatized and it's so dysfunctional that you lock it out in a cage every day, well, I guarantee you, your life isn't going to be very fun. And you've got to figure out consistently how to get to know this dog and what triggers it and show it love unconditionally. And it's the consistency. So if you do not have consistency in your relationships right now outside of you, it will be very difficult for you to find consistency within. If you are working on big projects or new, ideas for yourself, if you're finally putting energy towards your hopes and dreams, then you have to understand that right now you are very sensitive to influence, and your best influence is yourself, because your hope and your dream is in your universe. And if you share that too much, There's a lot of people around you that you think love you that wouldn't clap if they knew you were going to succeed. And it's not because they don't love you. It's because what it reminds them of is that they're not growing. They don't want you to grow away from them because misery loves company. And these are people that love you. You too see someone else shine, right? And you go, and then you may have a judgment toward them. Guaranteed, anybody that is showing up right now and creating something viable within them, creating tangible results in their life, is demonstrating bravery, consistency, daily routine of like clockwork, keeping their own counsel, right? Keeping their manifestations private until they begin to bloom. There is actual a process of manifesting in 5D, and it's only me, myself, and I. It isn't through banks, partners, friends. It is through me, myself, and I, because choice is what do I choose based on who I am and what desires are inside of me that would like to be demonstrated. Your circumstances do not matter, your state of being. So let's go back to this idea of your movie. Do you like the movie that you are starring in right now? Are you starring in a movie because you're supposed to be, or is someone else's star? You really, really need to take stock here and examine this movie, because this movie is the movie that the universe is watching with you and giving you a feedback loop of props, people, places, and things based in how you are chronically thinking, acting, and behaving. So if you want something that you've never experienced, you're going to have to behave in a way that you've never experienced. Now, you can't work with anything outside of you. You work with only things inside of you, and that manifests the help outside of you, and it's not going to be bittersweet. If I need something and I rush outside of me to find the money or the time or the people and the places, instead of looking within this crazy alchemy of me, then I'm going to attract someone who's going to break my heart, use me, ghost me, abandon me, reject me, or deny me, because higher self says, use you, and I will bring the person that matches you. Use your dreams, your energy, your behavior, your daily routine, your consistency, and I will match that. Because the universe says, and the universe is you inverse, your job is 50%, my job is 50%. Your job is what do you want and why do you want it? My job, universe, is how and when. So if you show me, and I don't care, you show me the small version of your dream, and I'll give you the big one. You pretend every day consistently, and I'll make that pillow castle real. But what do we say? That's not real. That's not real. I can't keep pretending. I can't keep doing art when my bills need to be paid. I can't keep, off social media. If you're watching someone else's movie hours a day, who's watching yours? Who is watching yours? So this is where we are. We are entering the second phase of Higher Self Bootcamp. The first phase was the Catch-22. You realize here you are damned if you do and you are damned if you don't. Here, all of the dead parts of you rose from the grave and met you in the most uncomfortable situations you could create for yourself this year. You also found probably love. You found some self-love. You found some grace for yourself. You found some new talents. You found some dreams that you haven't thought about since childhood. You've been working with your inner child hope for a little bit, because she or he is the one who is going to be able to walk through hell and heaven and meet you right in the middle where your balance is and take you the rest of the way. But it's going to be in the hands of the darkest part of you that need parents, reparenting, need consistency, and need the discipline, which means disciple, right? You are going to become the disciple of your higher self this year. And to me, disciple just means one who studies under. So you are going to be your own disciple this year. And so pay attention to the things you love and the things you hate, because you'll be using both of them to create heaven inside of hell. Think about your movie, all right? Think about what non-duality means to you. Because what non-duality means to me is that it's sunshine and flowers and ocean and abundance, that is wonderful. And it is shit and fertilizer and problems and suffering, that has to be wonderful too, because that's a growth opportunity to grow even more of what I love. So if you're sitting through it right now, turn towards yourself and find a safe space. We will not heal if we do not create a safe space. If you do not have a sanctuary, if you do not have your own time, if you are completely over obligated and committed to other people's, you're going to be studying their alchemy more than your own because you're trying to protect yourself from what they could possibly do. You have got to get space so that you can find the parts of you that are in fight or flight. I like to use the analogy of an allergy, right? And if you are allergic to something and you keep putting yourself into the environment of that, it's self-abuse. If you need to heal, you've got to remove yourself from the allergy that triggers you, get space, and ask yourself questions of self-hypnosis to get into your whys and your whats. Why does this trigger me? What happened? What does this remind me of? What body sensation is being activated because this feels like a familiar event? This is your trauma. That is your allergic reactions. That's what a trigger is. It's a traumatic allergic reaction to something that feels similar to an earlier experience. And now to the body, it's timeless and ageless, even though you're aging. And the only reason you're aging is because you are living in a stress-induced reality. But the body doesn't take into account that you are grown up and have a good job and a loving partner. It still sees you at the age that the trauma was in, and so that's where we jump. And we are not ourselves. We are in a possession of a darker part of ourselves, and our only desire is to defend and protect. So we can't have access to the light in those spaces. So the only way that you can get clarity is to create a space or a pause or a safe place, right? A safe mentor, a safe studio that you can go to and deal with your demons when they're not in a allergic reaction, because you're going into anaphylactic shock. You're ending up at the ER because you keep putting yourself into the environment that you are allergic to. And you just have to say, I'm allergic to this toxic environment. And it's not a bad or a good thing. My grandma loved chocolate and she was allergic to it. But every once in a while, she would go in there and she would pay for it. We can love things and be allergic to them, right? Because love to a lot of us does not mean unconditional acceptance. Love to a lot of us means pain and abuse and neglect and over nurturing and advising and controlling and manipulating. Love, someone can tell you that they love you all day long. And all you have to do is instead is ask yourself, do you feel loved by me today? To yourself. You can say this to your partner too. Do you feel loved by me today, instead of the countless, automatic, meaningless I love yous? Do you feel loved by me today? Do you feel loved by me in this moment? Right? And you have to understand that the number one thing that is going to keep you from growing this year is your safety issues. If you do not feel safe, you will not grow. You will be that plant that is in the pot that is only big enough to grow to its current height. Because if you're not safe, you won't grow. And if you're not growing, conscious mind may think it's growing because you're having new experiences, new job opportunities. Give it 3 months. You'll see 10 steps forward, 10 steps back. I'm not making this up. And honestly, trust me, if I would have known this back then, when I saw the big picture, right? And I had all my gifts come in and I was all excited about everything. If I would have known this, who knows? It would have been like, maybe next time. But we've come too far and now we're pretty screwed, because you can't unknow what you know and you can't stop. So your only choice here is to finish up your higher self boot camp, really get to know non-duality, get to know the parts of yourself, the alchemies that make up the alchemist, and use whatever shit you're in to grow and turn it into gold. Your inner child knows exactly how to do that. Your inner child knows how to have fun anywhere, anytime, anyhow. And if you have a limited fun and joy because your life is scary and small and lacking, you'll never finish this bridge. This bridge is called the shadow of the walk of death. And you are picking up those pieces of yourself and you are working to get to the other side. You will not do this without the darker parts of you, and you will not do this without the inner child, because your higher self is already on the other side of the bridge. It cannot come and meet you. It's already there. Remember, need, ego, want, inner child is higher self. If you are in need, you're thinking you're walking forward, you're not. You're walking back. If you want, you're going towards your North Star. Higher self will meet you there. Think of yourself as a movie, because your holographic experience here is your virtual reality. There's a part of you watching yourself through memories here. Are you living do you want to watch yourself? Would you want to watch yourself, or is your story just cringe? Because this is what you're here for. You're here to shine. You're here to be the star of your own movie. You're here to, if you don't like the way it's going, you can change it. You can edit it. You can do whatever you want, but you've got to know what movie you're in, and you've got to know the character that you're playing. One of the biggest things that we work with quantum fitness is character development. The character development, not who you've been, not who you are, but who you choose to be, and then getting that down so consistently and so routine that your state of being is now matching who you say you want to be. You're behaving as if you're showing up every day. You guys, motivation is not going to be something you have every day, because motivation, the definition is fuel. And sometimes you are out of gas, and sometimes you are hopeless, and sometimes life is not worth living. So you will not have motivation to do this work. You're not going to have it. And when motivation is not there, that's when discipline picks up. You don't want to brush your teeth at night. Sometimes you want to take a hot shower when you're cold, but you have a sense of discipline. And so you do it anyways. And you always feel better once you do it. So when you use discipline, when motivation is not present, then you will always be moving forward. And I will tell you that the worst part of this journey is being in hell, knowing you're in hell, and not moving forward. Because to me, that's burning in hell. And it is not fun. So it's like, if you're walking through hell, keep going, which means grow from what you are in, where you are. Change and adapt your character, not to your circumstances, but to your desires. Find your inner child. And when you're in the darkest space, ask her, what can we do with this? What can we do with this feeling? What can we do with this energy? What can we make out of this? What can we birth? What can we know about ourselves? How can we show compassion? How can we be hopeful in hopelessness? How can we get home? It isn't going to be here that gets you home. It's going to be here, and it's going to be right in your gut. So safety is going to create the serotonin that you need. Your inner child, art and crafts and songs and dance, that's your dopamine, not your addictions and your people and your twin flames and your spiritual knowledge. That ain't going to create enough dopamine to get you moving. Your darkness is going to haunt you until you turn towards it and say, I love you. How can we become a team? And that's a wrap on 2022. So my non-duality class starts the beginning of January. I have grandfathered in many of my past students that have gone through alchemy, and we are ready to build this new world in a non-dualistic, unified place within ourselves and each other, using our circumstances, our events, our people, and our places as a map, as a mirror, as a coach, as a guide, and as a road, because that's all we got. So I hope you join us in this class. You can find the link on my website, jessicaalstrom.com, or you can reach out on Facebook in my quantum fitness groups or my alchemy groups, or Instagram. You can find me, Jessica Alstrom, Quantum Fitness. I'm seasoned all over there. And also you can reach out directly and say, how do I join this class? And that is Jess, Quantum Jess 22 at Gmail. And you can reach out directly if you can't figure out the links, and I will show you how to do that. So join us, join me. If you're wanting to do some sort of mentorship, I have coaches and mentors trained all over the world in this work. I myself am slightly available, although we're building the Alchemists Apothecaries and our quantum fitness studios all over. We are here to help you and guide you through this rest of this bridge, because next year is going to be awesome, you guys. It really is. You've done so much work. There's just fine tuning, there's just some acceptance, and there's learning how to work with these parts of yourself. And then you're actually going to get all of the results that you've been working for, instead of feeling like, what is happening? I'm just creating this big graveyard. No, that is the logical next step, right? You think you're enlightened, and then you resurrect the dead. And now you enlighten them and take them home with you. All right, so this has been my second Sunday message for December 2020 or 2022. And, we are in the Christmas spirit, which is all a blessing and a curse. And I hope you guys got some nuggets and some identification of yourself and where you are right now, some truth. And I hope you join us next year, because the bigger this alchemized group is, the faster we see tangible results outside of us for our kids, for our grandkids, for the world. All right. Thank you guys, and I will see you soon.